Hey, 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 Bears Nation! Today is Tuesday. At 4 in the afternoon, the franchise tag window opens. And nobody is talking about how this could completely blow up everything we have lined up with Trey Hendrickson. The pass rusher, with 4 straight Pro Bowls that Dennis Allen needs to flip this defense, could be totally out of reach for us in a matter of hours. 30 million in one shot, multiple draft picks, and a massive contract on top of that. Do you really think POLES is going to pull that trigger? But hold up, because while that bomb is sitting there, Bill Barnwell from ESPN just threw out a wild trade idea that might fix everything. DJ Moore plus a first-rounder for Max Crosby from the Raiders. 24.5 million freed up every single year to bring in Cam Curl from the Rams and keep Kevin Byard locked into our secondary. Sounds insane. The numbers do not lie, Bears fans. Hendrickson with 17.5 sacks could slip away. Crosby with 52 quarterback pressures is itching to get out of Vegas. And our 2 starting safeties are free agents, while Curl finished 6th out of 98 safeties in the entire league. The next 14 days are going to decide whether we are actually chasing a ring or just wasting Caleb Williams' window. Do not go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button right now, smash that like, and get ready, because what is coming is going to flip everything you thought you knew about this offseason. News 1, Trey Hendrickson. Franchise tag. I cannot believe we are sitting in this spot right now. Look, I am going to tell you something nobody else is really telling you at this moment. Tomorrow, Tuesday, February 17th, at 4 in the afternoon Eastern Time, the franchise tag window in the NFL officially opens. And you might say, all right, Miguel, what does that have to do with the Bears if we are not tagging anyone? Here is the deal. It has everything to do with us, with our future, with our Super Bowl hopes. Because it turns out the number 1 player on our free agency board, the pass rusher that Dennis Allen absolutely needs to finish this defense, the one that could completely transform our defensive line, Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals, could get hit with the franchise tag. And we are not even talking about the Bengals tagging him because they want to keep competing with him. No, we are talking about a tag and trade, a move that could completely choke out our whole plan. Let me walk you through why this is an absolute nightmare for Chicago, for Ryan Poles, and for every one of us who has been waiting for this moment. If the Bengals tag Hendrickson, we are talking about $30.2 million in cap space, $30.2 million in one single cap hit. And on top of that, we would have to give up draft picks, probably multiple picks, just to land him in a trade. And after all of that, after eating that massive hit and giving up draft capital, we would have to sit down and hammer out a long-term deal with a player who is 31 years old. Let me throw this at you, and I want you to really think about it. Do you honestly think Ryan Poles, the same general manager who has been crazy careful with every cap dollar since day one in Chicago, is going to drop 30 million in one blast on a 31-year-old, give up multiple draft picks that we badly need to build depth, and then lock in to a 4 or 5 year contract on top of it? After everything we have seen from Poles being strategic, measured, conservative with cap space, do you really believe that is the kind of all-in move that is coming? I think if this happens, if Cincinnati pulls that franchise tag tomorrow, Hendrickson stops being a real, viable option for us. And that, Bears fans, is brutal. It is absolutely brutal because this dude, Trey Hendrickson, put up 17.5 sacks last season, 17.5 in 1 year, 4 straight Pro Bowls. And not just that, there is direct history with Dennis Allen from their time together in New Orleans. Allen knows exactly how to deploy Hendrickson, knows the strengths, knows how to maximize that impact in this defensive scheme. Now let me put this in perspective for you so you feel what Hendrickson would mean for this defense. Look at our pass rush numbers from last year and get ready because they are not pretty. Montez Sweat, our number 1 edge rusher, had 6.5 sacks, 6.5. DeMarcus Walker, our second most productive edge, had 4.5 sacks. As a whole unit, the Chicago Bears finished with 38 total sacks on the season, which put us at number 18 in the league. 18th! Smack dab in the middle of the pack! Do you think that is enough to win a Super Bowl? with 38 team sacks? Are we really going toe-to-toe with the Eagles, who had 55? With the Cowboys, who had 52? I am telling you, no, absolutely not. And here is what really has me worried. What keeps me up at night thinking about this off-season. The franchise tag window closes March 3rd. That gives us exactly 2 weeks of total uncertainty. 14 days where we have no idea if Hendrickson is going to be on the open market, where we can just compete with cash, or if we are going to get dragged into a bidding war with other teams over a tag and trade where draft capital becomes the deciding factor. Because think about it this way, and this is key to understanding how big this mess is. If the Bengals tag him, any team in the NFL can jump in with an offer. The Dallas Cowboys are desperate for pass rush after losing DeMarcus Lawrence. The Atlanta Falcons are out hunting for an elite edge to round out that defense. The Raiders themselves, who are in full rebuild mode, could jump in just to flip him again for more assets. Suddenly, we are not just competing with money in an open free agency market where POLES has shown he can be aggressive when it makes sense. We are competing against complete draft pick packages, and that changes the whole game. So here is what I am asking you, because I need you to really see the ripple effects. What picks are we giving up in that kind of scenario? The number 25 overall pick in the first round, a second-round pick in 2027, multiple mid-round picks. Because that draft capital, Bears fans, we desperately need it elsewhere too. We need serious help on the interior defensive line. Andrew Billings clearly is not the answer after that disaster of a 2025. We need real depth in the secondary, especially if we lose multiple safeties in free agency. We need a significantly better right tackle because Darnell Wright, as much as we like the kid, still has not made the developmental jump we expected when we spent a first-round pick on that spot. We need a real backup for Caleb Williams because if something happens to our franchise quarterback, this season is over instantly. We need depth across the offensive line because injuries in this league are just part of the deal. We need a young linebacker to groom behind Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, who are both creeping into their 30s. The reality, the cold hard reality, is this. If Cincinnati tags Hendrickson tomorrow at 4 in the afternoon, Ryan Poles is going to have to pivot immediately to other options. And let me be brutally honest, those other options are not Trey Hendrickson. They are not even in the same tier. We are talking about players like Josh Sweat from Philadelphia, a good, solid player, but not elite, not a game wrecker. Or Harold Landry from Tennessee, who can be productive when healthy, but has had major injury issues the last 2 years. Do we really want to stake our future on that medical history or the other path? And this one honestly gives me chills just saying it out loud, is going all in on the draft, sitting there hoping someone like Abdul Carter from Penn State or Michael Williams from Georgia falls out of the sky to number 25. And let me ask you this, have you looked at mock drafts lately? Carter is going top 10. Williams is probably not making it past 15. The odds that either of those two are on the board when we pick are tiny. And you know what is the most frustrating, the most straight-up exasperating part of this whole thing? Trey Hendrickson wants out of Cincinnati. That has been made totally clear, both publicly and through his camp. The Bengals are clearly in a rebuild after losing Joe Burrow to another brutal knee injury. Their contention window slammed shut, at least for now. Everything, and I mean everything, pointed to this being the perfect moment. The perfect storm for Chicago to make a move. We had the cap space to fit him. We had the obvious need. We had the Dennis Allen connection. We had a player who wanted out and a team that seemed ready to move on. But if that franchise tag hits tomorrow, if at 4:01 in the afternoon we get the notification that Cincinnati tagged Hendrickson, all of that changes. Every last bit of it. The price skyrockets. The competition ramps up. Our odds of landing him crash. I think, and this is critical for how POLES has to work the next 48 hours, there needs to be a fully built-out Plan B, a backup Plan C, and probably a just-in-case Plan D. Because this competition window we have right now, with Caleb Williams still on that cheap rookie contract, with Ben Johnson only in year 2, building this offense, with a defense that was literally one elite pass rusher away from being dominant, This window is not going to sit open forever. Look at what the Philadelphia Eagles did when they had Carson Wentz on a rookie deal. They went all in, traded for players, signed expensive free agents, and got a Super Bowl out of it. Look at what the Rams did with Jared Goff on the cheap. They traded first-rounders for Jalen Ramsey, for Marcus Peters, signed Andrew Whitworth, and they ended up with a ring with that core. We, the Chicago Bears, have to have that exact same mentality. We have to be willing to be aggressive, to take calculated risks, to squeeze everything we can out of this window while we have it. But if the Bengals block us with that franchise tag, if they slam that door in our face on Hendrickson, we are going to have to get creative. Real creative. We are going to have to think outside the box and dig into options nobody had at the top of the list a week ago. News 2. DJ Moore, poor Max Crosby. If that threw you off, just wait. Because what is coming next might be the answer to every single problem we just laid out. And talking about being creative, about thinking outside the box, about moves nobody sees coming, let me hit you with something that just blew up in the NFL analysis world and makes a ton of sense for the Chicago Bears. Bill Barnwell from ESPN, one of the most respected analysts in the entire league, just put out a trade idea that literally made me jump out of my chair when I read it. DJ Moore and our number 25 first-round pick to the Las Vegas Raiders for Max Crosby and a fifth-rounder in 2027. And before you start losing it in the comments, before you start telling me I am out of my mind, how could I even think about trading DJ Moore? Just hear me out. Let me lay out why this move not only makes sense, but might be exactly what we need to push this team to the next level. DJ Moore is 28 and just signed a massive 4-year, $110 million extension that officially kicks in next season. $110 million! That is an average of $27.5 million per year. $27.5 a year for a wide receiver. So here is what I want you to think about and really sit with this. With Rome Odunze developing at a ridiculous pace, with Luther Burden III showing in that rookie year that there is something special and explosive there, with Colston Loveland giving us steady, reliable production at tight end, do we really, truly need to be paying $27.5 million a year to a receiver who is about to turn 29? I do not think so. And let me walk you through exactly why. Look, nothing but respect for what DJ Moore did for us. Last year, there were 96 catches, 1,364 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Those are legit WR1 numbers on any team in the league. Week in, week out, the production was there. The professionalism was there. But here is the part a lot of fans do not want to face. Rome Odunze put up 77 catches, 1,145 yards, and 6 touchdowns in a rookie season. First year in the NFL, a 22-year-old kid learning Ben Johnson's system, 77 catches, 1,145 yards, 6 touchdowns. As a rookie, do you realize what that means for where the ceiling is in year 2, year 3, year 4? And Luther Burden III, even though he was more of a yards after catch weapon, with just 7.9 yards of average depth of target, flashed some crazy stuff in space. This kid can flip a whole game with one touch, one catch at the right time. So let me throw the question back at you, and I want honesty in the comments. Would you rather have DJ Moore at $27.5 million per year eating a roster spot and a massive chunk of the cap? Or would you rather have Max Crosby absolutely terrorizing quarterbacks off the edge, wrecking pockets, forcing fumbles? Because let me tell you something about Max Crosby that goes way beyond box score stats. This is a straight-up monster. Last season, the stat sheet says 7.5 sacks, and I know that does not jump off the page next to Hendrickson's 17.5, but that number does not even come close to telling the whole story. He posted 86 total tackles, 86 as an edge rusher, which shows the versatility and run defense chops. He had 13 tackles for loss, showing that constant penetration and disruption in the backfield. And here is the number that really matters. 52 quarterback pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. 52 pressures in one season. Do you know what 52 pressures means? It means more than 3 times a game, this guy is in the quarterback's face, forcing rush decisions, early throws, mistakes. In today's NFL, pressures are every bit as important as sacks because they completely throw off the rhythm of an offense. And here is the key part. What makes this trade so logical from a long-term roster building standpoint? Max Crosby is 28, the exact same age as DJ Moore. But here is the crucial difference. Edge rushers typically have a much longer top-level production window than wide receivers. That is just how those positions age. Look at Khalil Mack, still putting up Pro Bowl level stuff at 33. Look at Von Miller, still being effective and valuable into the mid-30s. Look at Cameron Jordan, Calais Campbell, guys who stay at a high level deep into their 30s. Receivers, on the other hand, and this is just how the body works, start dropping off hard after 30. The speed fades. The roots are not as sharp. These 23, 24-year-old defensive backs start winning more one-on-one. It is just reality. And financially, Bears fans, this is absolutely brilliant for us. If we pull this trade after June 1st, and that date is huge for cap structure, we would save $24.5 million against the cap in each of the next 4 years. $24.5 million extra in space every year. Do you know? Can you even picture what we can do with an extra $24.5 million in cap room? We can re-sign Kevin Byard on a 2 or 3 year deal and keep our secondary stable. We can bring in an elite defensive tackle like Grady Jarrett if Atlanta lets him go. Or Vita Vea if Tampa blows it up. We can seriously upgrade the offensive line, maybe add a veteran guard or a quality swing tackle. We can add real, meaningful depth across all the critical spots. We can sign 3 or 4 mid-tier free agents to plug specific holes. We can be live players in the trade market in season if a big opportunity pops up. And for the Raiders, and this is why I think this deal actually has legs, it makes complete sense from their angle too. They are going to draft Fernando Mendoza at number 1 overall. They are rolling in with a high pedigree rookie quarterback who desperately needs offensive weapons to grow the right way. DJ Moore next to Brock Bowers, who was outstanding as a rookie tight end. And Ashton Ginty, that dynamic running back. That is a rock-solid offensive core for the next 5 years. That is exactly what a young quarterback needs. Reliable vets who know how to separate, how to find soft spots in coverage, how to be safety valves. Plus, the Raiders get out from under Crosby's deal, which is not bad by any stretch, but it is heavy for a full-on rebuilding team. And they walk away with an extra first-rounder, pick 25, to keep stacking young pieces. But here is where my real concern kicks in, and it is legit. Is Max Crosby going to want to be in Chicago? This is someone who has been extremely vocal about being fed up in Las Vegas. There have been public trade requests. It is clear this is about wanting to chase a ring. That does not automatically mean Chicago sits at the top of that list. Maybe the preference is Kansas City. Maybe it is San Francisco. Maybe there are personal factors we do not know. We would have to recruit this person. We would have to sell the vision. We would have to lay out the full picture of what Ben Johnson is building here. We would need to make it crystal clear that with Crosby in this defense, lined up with Montez Sweat, with Jaylon Johnson, with Kevin Byard, we are instant Super Bowl contenders. And I absolutely think we can make that case. Because look at this roster objectively. No Homer goggles. Caleb Williams at quarterback, that is generational talent. Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Cole Kmet in the passing game. DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert as a legit 1-2 punch in the backfield. An offensive line that took a big step forward after signing Joe Thuney in free agency. On defense, Montez Sweat on the opposite side, creating a brutal edge duo. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards at linebacker, 2 smart, productive players. Jaylon Johnson and Kyler Gordon at corner, one of the best young duos in the league. Kevin Byard at safety, running the show on the back end. That is a Super Bowl roster. Bears fans, and with Max Crosby on board, we are talking about legitimate NFC favourites. That is not Homer talk. That is just a straight evaluation of the talent. But there is a big catch here, and I have to be upfront about it. If we make this move, we are pushing every chip into the middle of the table. We are fully in win now mode because we are giving up a first-round pick, important, cheap, young talent we could have developed. We are trading away a pro bowler in DJ Moore. We are rewiring our whole cap structure for years. And if it goes sideways, if Crosby gets hurt in week 3, if the defensive chemistry never quite clicks, if for whatever reason this move does not deliver the payoff, we are in a tough spot. We will have sacrificed future flexibility for present results that never showed up. But here is how I see it. And this is the core of how I think you have to build in the modern NFL. You have to take calculated swings when your window is open. The Rams did it when they traded multiple firsts for Jalen Ramsey, for Marcus Peters. When they went big on Andrew Whitworth, they won a Super Bowl. The Buccaneers did it when they brought in Tom Brady, traded for Rob Gronkowski, went all in during 2020. They got a ring right away. The Eagles did it when they traded for A.J. Brown, signed Hassan Reddick, built aggressively. They got to a Super Bowl. It is time for Chicago to step up. It is time to stop being overly conservative, to stop playing it safe, to stop hoping slow, organic development magically gets us to the top. We have to be aggressive. News 3, Cam Curl y la situación de safeties. But all of that is nothing compared to what is creeping up on us next. Because while we are locked in on pass rush and receivers, there is a quiet problem brewing in our secondary. While all of this is going on in the front office with Hendrickson, with the possible DJ Moore trade, with these big splash moves, there is a completely quiet crisis building in our secondary that nobody is talking about enough. That is flying totally under the radar. Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard are both about to hit the market as unrestricted free agents. Both of them are 2 starting safeties, the last line of defense, the brains of the back end. And Matt Bowen from ESPN, who knows this game better than almost any analyst out there, just connected the Chicago Bears with Cam Curl from the Los Angeles Rams as a potential answer to this massive problem. And let me be straight with you, I like this a lot. I really like this for a bunch of reasons. Let me break down why. Last season with the Rams, Cam Curl put up 122 total tackles. 122! That was a clear career high, showing how much this player has grown. There were 5 passes defensed, showing awareness in coverage. There were 2 interceptions, showing ball skills. And according to Pro Football Focus, which is still the gold standard for player grading, Curl posted an 84.7 run defense grade. 84.7. That put this player 6th out of 98 qualified safeties in the entire league. 6th out of 98. That is elite run stopping, which is exactly what we need after giving up 134.5 rushing yards per game last year. Now line that up next to Jaquan Brisker, and the numbers tell a pretty clear story. Brisker had 93 total tackles, 8 passes broken up, 1 interception. The overall PFF grade was 60.4, which slotted in at number 68 out of 98 qualifying safeties. The run defense grade was 73.7, which was 34th of 98. The coverage grade was 50.9, sitting at 76th of 98. The numbers do not lie. Bears fans, in almost every measurable area, Cam Curl was the superior player last season. And here is what I love specifically about Curl for a Dennis Allen defense: the pure versatility. This is someone who can play strong safety in the box and step up against the run, can play free safety in the deep middle as the last line, can match up on tight ends in man coverage, can blitz off different angles, can even slide into nickel packages like an extra linebacker. That versatility is exactly what Dennis Allen needs to run all that disguised coverage, to keep quarterbacks guessing, to create pre-snap confusion. Because remember, Dennis Allen's defense is nothing like a basic cover 3 all day look like Matt Eberflus was rolling out. This is not predictable. Allen loves to show one thing pre-snap, one shell, and spin into something completely different post-snap. Loves to rotate coverages late. Loves to send pressure from weird spots that offensive lines cannot ID. Loves controlled chaos. To pull that off, to really execute that level of complexity, you need safeties who can do multiple things at a high level. Cam Curl has already shown in Los Angeles that this is that kind of player. Now let us talk money, because that is huge here. Spotrac has Curl projected at about a 4-year, $40 million contract. 40 total, 10 million per year on average. Brisker is projected at 3 years and 33 million, 11 per year. So financially, they are in the same tier. We are talking about just a 1 million per year difference. But here is the question. Would you rather have the younger player who has shown more consistency in multiple systems, or the familiar face who has had real ups and downs and some clear issues in coverage? And here is the smart play. The high IQ move Matt Bowen brings up in that breakdown. Bring in Cam Curl and re-sign Kevin Byard at the same time. Build a dynamic safety duo, because Kevin Byard last year led the entire league in interceptions. The entire league, 32 teams, hundreds of defensive backs, and Byard was on top at 32. This is still all-pro level ball. The football IQ is off the charts. The ability to read quarterbacks, to anticipate routes, to consistently be in the right place is absolutely elite. If we can have Byard as the brain of the secondary, the veteran free safety making the calls pre-snap, diagnosing formations, adjusting the coverages, and Curl as the physical, versatile, strong safety who can fit the run, cover tight ends, and come on the blitz every now and then. That is a nasty combination. That is a duo that can hang with any passing game in the NFC, with the Eagles and A.J. Brown, with the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb, with the Lions and Amon-Ra St. Brown, with the Vikings and Justin Jefferson. But here is my real concern, and this is definitely what is keeping Ryan Poles up late. The money. If we trade DJ Moore for Max Crosby, we can make the numbers work. But if we do not pull that trade, if we decide to hold on to DJ, where exactly is the money coming from for Curl and Byard and everything else we have to get done? Because look at where we are sitting with the cap. We are 5.3 million over the number right now. 5.3 over before we do anything. That means before we sign a single outside free agent, before we re-sign even one of our own players, before we touch anything, we have to clear 5.3 just to be compliant. Ryan Poles is going to have to make some hard calls. There are going to be restructures, probably with Jalen Johnson, Tremaine Edmonds, maybe Montez Sweat. There are going to be cuts. Andrew Billings is almost certainly gone after that brutal 2025. CJ Gardner-Johnson is likely gone after just half a season here. Olamide Zacchaeus is likely gone after leading the team in drops. Those moves open up some space, probably 12 to 15 million combined, but that is not enough to do everything we need to do this off-season. And here is the brutal truth no fan wants to say out loud, the part that feels ugly, but it is still true. We cannot have everything. We cannot pay an elite pass rusher like Hendrickson or Crosby, keep DJ Moore at 27.5, bring in Cam Curl at 10, re-sign Kevin Byard at 8 or 9, and also upgrade the interior defensive line with someone like Grady Jarrett. The math just does not work. There is not enough money. Something has to give. Something has to be sacrificed. And I really believe the piece that has to move is DJ Moore. Because if we flip DJ in that Crosby trade, suddenly everything else opens up. We can bring Curl in at 10. We can keep Byard at 8 or 9. We can add a piece on the interior, like a veteran tackle on a 1-year deal. We can bolster the offensive line depth with a reliable swing tackle. But if we hang on to DJ for sentimental reasons, because we like the person, because the professionalism has been top-notch, we are going to be boxed in badly in all these other critical areas. And specifically, in the secondary, we cannot afford a big drop-off, because look at next year's projected schedule as division champs. We are going to see the best quarterbacks in the NFC, and some of the big guns from the AFC too. We are seeing Jared Goff and the Lions twice. And Goff was an MVP candidate for most of 2025. We are seeing Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. We are seeing Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. We are probably seeing Dak Prescott in the playoffs if both teams handle business. We might see Josh Allen, might see Patrick Mahomes. We need a secondary that can stand up to those elite passing attacks. Curl plus Bayard gives us exactly that. The blend of youth and veteran savvy, of athleticism and football IQ, of versatility and specialization. But only if we make the right calls now. Only if POLES has the nerve to make the hard decisions that have to be made. So let me run everything back for you, because this has been a lot of news, a lot of numbers, a lot of ripple effects. Tomorrow that franchise tag window opens, and it could completely wreck our Trey Hendrickson plans, cutting us off from the elite pass rusher this defense badly needs. We have a potential blockbuster trade on the table that would land us Max Crosby, one of the best edge rushers in football, but it would cost us DJ Moore and our first rounder and totally reshape our roster build. And in the secondary, we have to make immediate, critical decisions on Cam Curl, on Kevin Bayard, on Jaquan Brisker, on how we put together the entire back end of this defense. These next 2 weeks, from tomorrow to March 3rd, are going to completely define the future of the Chicago Bears. They are going to decide if we are real contenders or if we just waste another contention window, period. So I am asking you directly, I want to see this in the comments. Would you rather keep DJ Moore at $27.5 million per year and hope we can manufacture enough pass rush out of the draft at pick 25? Or are you ready to make the bold move, the aggressive move, and bring in Max Crosby right now, locking in that elite edge rusher? Do you think Ryan Poles should go all in for Trey Hendrickson, even if the Bengals tag him and we have to cough up multiple picks? Or should we be more conservative and look at cheaper options? And what do we do at safety? Do we bring in Cam Curl and pair that with Bayard? Do we roll with Brisker despite the inconsistency? Or do we push everything into just keeping Bayard and go hunting for a young safety in round 2 or 3 of the draft? Drop your honest answers in the comments, because I genuinely want to know where Bear Nation stands on these absolutely crucial calls that are going to shape this franchise. And if you still have not subscribed to this channel, if you have been watching videos without hitting that button, what exactly are you waiting for? This is your Bears family. These are your Chicago Bears. And we are going to be here every single day. No days off. Bringing the latest news, the deepest breakdowns you are going to find, and the most unfiltered, straight-up opinions out there. Hit like on this video right now if you are firmly in the camp that we should trade DJ Moore for Max Crosby and go all in. Let me see that engagement. And share this video with every Bears fan you know, with family, with anybody who bleeds navy and orange, because everyone needs to be fully locked in on what is coming in these next critical weeks. See you tomorrow with more breaking news and deeper analysis on the Chicago Bears. Bear down, Chicago! Bear down, always!